shall not kill. But if you do, bitch, we'll hang you in a fucking field. We don't judge by skin, we judge by soul. So God can judge your sin, but bitch, you gotta go. Austin Metcalf lost his life at a track meet. The news won't say it, so I say it on a trap beat. And while they running from accountability, Lake and Riley was murdered while she was running in the streets. Who would've thought the girl who left the danger in Ukraine would get her life taken riding on a train by a nigga when she's repping Black Lives Matter? But you triggered by this song, tell me which is sadder.
Big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high and sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. A big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high at sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. Oh, there's too much crime in the streets these days, too much evil going down. If they get 'em up out of the bricks for a while, the judge turns them loose on the town. How many mothers gotta cry? How many children gotta die before we put an end to all this mess? We ought to do it like they did it way back in the day, 'cause granddaddy's way it works best. Who's gonna right them wrongs, my friend? Vengeance is the Lord's, but brother, justice ain't a sin. We need a big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high and sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. A big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high at sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. Whoa, we need a big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high at sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. A big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high at sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town.
Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. But if you do, bitch, we'll hang you in a fucking field. We don't judge by skin, we judge by soul. So God can judge your sin, but bitch, you gotta go. Austin Metcalf lost his life at a track meet. The news won't say it, so I say it on a trap beat. And while they running from accountability, Lake and Riley was murdered while she was running in the streets. Who would've thought the girl who left the danger in Ukraine would get her life taken riding on a train by a nigga when she's repping Black Lives Matter? But you triggered by this song, tell me which is sadder.
A big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high at sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. A big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high at sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. Oh, there's too much crime in the streets these days, too much evil going down. If they get 'em up out of the bricks for a while, the judge turns them loose on the town. How many mothers gotta cry? How many children gotta die before we put an end to all this mess? We ought to do it like they did it way back in the day, 'cause granddaddy's way it works best. Who's gonna right them wrongs, my friend? Vengeance is the Lord's, but brother, justice ain't a sin. We need a big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high at sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. A big tall tree and a short piece of rope, hang 'em up high at sundown, leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town.
Dust on my boots, blood in my pride. You ever get pushed so far you stop caring? This one's for the snakes, the liars, the ones who smile and stare. Go fuck yourself, I ain't bowing down. Try to break me, but I stand my ground. You took your shot, now take your loss. I pay my dues, I count my costs. Go fuck yourself, I'm done being played. I built my fire from the hill you made. No more chains, no more stealth. If you cross that line, go fuck yourself. I came from a road where the gravel cuts deep, where promises break and the wolves don't sleep. Had $1 in a dream and the chip on my chest. They said I'd never make it, yeah, I took that bet. Backstab, handshake, fake love grin. Seen too many devils dressed up as friends. Talk real loud, but they hollow inside. I read that script, yeah, I know that vibe. Mama said, boy, keep your head up high, even when the truth feels like a lie. So I kept on walking, boots worn thin, through the smoke, through the dirt, through the sand. You tried to bury me, I grew instead. Every no you gave put steel in my head. Now I'm standing tall where you hoped I'd fall. Middle finger up, yeah, that says it all. Fuck yourself, I ain't bowing down. Tried to break me, but I stand my ground. You took your shot, now take your loss. I pay my dues, I count my costs. Go fuck yourself, I'm done being played. I built my fire from the hill you made. No more chains, no more stealth. If you cross that line, go fuck yourself. They love you when you're down, keep you in the cage. But hey, when you rise and step on stage, suddenly they know you act like king. But I remember where you never been. You weren't there in the cold midnight when I lost my way, had to learn to fight. You weren't there when the world went dark, when I lit my soul with a single spark. I don't need your praise, don't need your lies. Seen too much truth in your disguise. You played both sides, but I played real. Every scar I got, yeah, that's my deal. This ain't revenge, it's clarity. Cutting off dead weight, setting me free. I ain't angry, I just moved on. Your chapter's closed, your page is gone. I gave too much to people who take it all. Watch loyalty fade like a late night call. Now I walk alone, but I walk with pride. No more fake love standing by my side. Yeah, it hurts, but it made me strong. Turn my pain into this outlaw song. Go fuck yourself, I ain't bowing down. Tried to break me, but I stand my ground. You took your shot, now take your loss. I pay my dues, I count my costs. Go fuck yourself, I'm done being played. I built my fire from the hell you made. No more chains, no more stealth. If you cross that line, go fuck yourself. I don't hold grudges, I just hold truth. You showed your colors, I show my proof. Every word you said, you fueled my grind. Now I'm 10 steps ahead, you still behind. I ain't bitter, just wide awake. Learn real fast, who's real or fake. Trust ain't cheap, it's earned in blood, not in shallow talk. A crocodile love, you built your world on a house of lies. Now it's falling down, no surprise. While I build mine from broken stone, now I sit king on the throne I own. This ain't hate, it's self-respect. Cutting ties, I won't regret. If you don't like me, that's just fine. I don't need you in my life. Some bridges, you don't burn them, you just stop crossing. Go fuck yourself! I found my way, oh, every night, through every day. You tried to chain me, hold me down. Now I wear freedom like a crown. Go fuck yourself, I'm done being small. I stood back up every time I'd fall. This is my life, my truth, my will. If you doubt that, go fuck yourself. Yeah, ride your road, I'll ride mine. No hard feelings, just hard lines. Outlaw heart, free as hell. And if you can't respect it, you already know. Go fuck yourself.
All right, everyone. It is Sunday, June 7th. I am in a safe place, and that is all I'm going to share about where I am right now. Myself and let's just say some of my friends will be there Monday morning so that I can continue doing my job and getting into the courtroom and reporting on this case. I have so far every single day, except one day I missed a couple hours right before lunch, but I think that was Thursday. But so far every day I have been in that courtroom. And I'm going to go ahead and share my update about what happened on Saturday, June 6th, with all of you. I also just kind of want to make it clear that there are a lot of people like I am the secretary for the Proud Boys. That is a lie. People are spreading rumors about my past. That is not true. People are re-spreading the rumors that Charleston White started, which is crazy because he's already been sued in civil court and he lost. So you might want to be careful with some of the stuff that you're spreading around about me, in case you want to lose in civil court as well. Let me think what else. There is a particular person who continues to post about me over and over again. Someone has stated that I recorded her in her car. That's a lie. Someone stated that we've been harassing and stalking and threatening her. That's a lie. I want nothing to do with her. I don't care about her. I'm here to do a job, and she has somehow brought me into, I don't know, I feel like it's main character syndrome. She has main character syndrome. That's a good way to put it. So I will no longer be responding to this individual unless she absolutely continues to come after me and make up lies about me, and then I will be getting my attorney involved. So that's that. So let's get into June 6th. June 6th, an individual was called to the stand. I will not be identifying this witness because this witness was a minor. Also, by the way, I have all my notes here, as well as notation from the individual that goes by Dark Horse. These are live updates that were provided by NBC that Dark Horse put into a transcript. And so far, I've looked at it and it does align with my notes and it is very accurate. So I'm going to be using this mixed with the notes that I wrote that day. I'm very detailed. As you see, this is all from the past week. So I'm just a very detailed person. This will probably eventually turn into a book one day, or we'll go into a book that I plan on writing. So this first witness called by the prosecution was a Memorial High School student. His coach was Coach Starr, and he rode the bus that day. Prosecutor Bill Werski, which, by the way, Bill Werski, so far what I have seen, he's incredible. He is an incredible prosecutor. He is a beast. He is amazing at what he does. Very, very smart man. He asked the witness if he was aware that weapons are not allowed at school events, and the witness said he was absolutely aware. He said he rode the bus. It was not raining when they got there. He said that he was under the tent. He said that when he got there, he was looking around to find someone to talk to. He said that he only had a few teammates that were inside the tent, and some of them were on their phones. He said that at one point he saw someone he did not recognize and asked his teammates if he knew him. And this individual is now who we know is Karmelo Anthony. He said that it threw him off because Karmelo Anthony was not wearing any athletic gear. He said that Karmelo sat underneath the tent, and he said he wasn't really worried about Karmelo's presence at that time. He then said at one point that he saw Karmelo and Austin stand up. He saw Austin put his hand on Karmelo's shoulder, followed by a bunch of yelling. He then said that he heard Austin screaming, "He stabbed me," and he heard Hunter scream, "He got stabbed." And then when he was asked about the shove on the shoulder, he described it as a firm push. He said that he had heard Austin and Karmelo arguing, but he wouldn't say that anyone's demeanor was angry or aggressive. Bill Werski asked if Austin was responding to being provoked, and he said yes, he put his hand on his shoulder. He said that he then saw Hunter run after Karmelo, but came back down and tried to help Austin. He said that he did not see Hunter interact with Karmelo during the original altercation at all. He said, quote, "You do not expect someone to get stabbed at a track meet." And a lot of the witnesses have said this because they honestly thought that Karmelo was bluffing when he put his hand in the bag. They didn't think he had anything in there. He said that he saw Karmelo run up the bleachers and tried to run out of the stadium. Karmelo never left the stadium, by the way. He said he was afraid that he was going to stab others and that he was running away with another female student because she was scared. When he was asked about whether he thought that this was self-defense, he said no, and I quote, "It was lethal force against non-lethal." This witness in particular said that the encounter was still very hard for him to talk about. He said that he was in counseling. He said that Karmelo provoked Austin and that the stabbing was not done in self-defense. He was then cross-examined by Karmelo's defense attorney, Toby Shook, and Toby Shook brought out a transcript of when he had done an interview with detectives, and he pointed out that this same person said that Karmelo had gone into a tent on previous occasions, but he said he doesn't remember saying that, but what he meant to say is that he's passed by the tent and said hi before, which is okay to do. It's just not okay to sit and hang out underneath another team's tent. He also testified that when, after everything happened, they ran back to the bus. He was there with his fellow students waiting on the bus, and that while they were on the bus, they were trying to figure out who Karmelo was, and that they had found a picture on Instagram of Karmelo. And he explained that they were passing around a phone with an Instagram photo of Karmelo. He was also asked if he remembered that he had said that Hunter had popped in to defend Austin. He said he did remember saying that, but he could not remember what Hunter said. He did also make it clear that Austin was a much bigger person. I believe he said substantially bigger than his own brother, but that he was also bigger than Karmelo, and that he could look intimidating if someone, didn't know him. Then the prosecution called in another student witness. This was also a minor, so I can't share this person's name. He was on the same football team, and he said he considered Austin to be like a big brother to him. He said he rode a bus from Memorial that morning. He said the weather was cloudy. He said that there were males and females underneath the tent. Said a kid from Centennial came and sat underneath the tent. He said at one point they told Karmelo that it was not raining and that he did not need to be underneath the tent anymore. But Karmelo refused to leave. He said that Karmelo then got irritated and said, "Touch me and see what happens." Yet again, he's another witness who said that Karmelo instigated the altercation, and just like all the other witnesses, said that he thought Karmelo was bluffing when he put his hand in the backpack because, quote, "It's a high school track meet and you're not supposed to bring in anything, aka weapons." He said that Austin pushed him. He then saw Austin. He missed the stabbing. He saw Austin with blood on his chest and that Austin was falling down the bleachers. He said Austin said, "I've been stabbed." And Hunter was screaming that he had a knife and to run. This witness in particular told the jury that everyone was crying because they couldn't believe what happened. And when they got back to the bus, he said that a friend of Karmelo's, this friend that has been referred to several times that apparently Karmelo sat under the tent with, and they dapped up, I've reported that in my prior videos, was there, and he had asked him how he knew Karmelo. I guess they were just friends. He also was asked if this was done in self-defense, and the witness said no, he committed murder. And then that was that for that witness, and then the prosecution called in another witness that was a minor, and I'm going to continue to, this witness's testimony was very interesting and very detailed, so please watch the second video. Okay, part 2 of the Saturday trial day, which would have been yesterday, June 6th, of the Karmelo Anthony Carmelo Anthony case trial. I was in the courtroom. I forgot to talk about this in the first video, but when just to give y'all an idea of where I was sitting, because this is going to be important for you to remember later. In this courtroom in particular, in this court day in particular, you have the full gallery, and then you have the jury, and then you have the judge over here, and the witness stand directly in the middle. Once you walk into the room, was on the very far left of the gallery. So I'm literally sitting directly in front of where the jury is. So anything shown to the jury by the prosecution or by the defense, I could see it, because here's the jury, and then here's where I'm sitting directly next to the jury in the gallery. So I'm literally facing the jury while they're facing the judge and the rest of the courtroom. And so if any pictures or anything were shown to them, any graphics or anything like that, I was able to see what they saw. Okay, moving on. The next witness that was called, this might have been the craziest and the most detailed I listened to. I mean, there were over 20 witnesses called. This one was most certainly the most interesting for sure. This individual, again, is a minor. He told the jury that he plays soccer. Also, shout out again, I have transcripts here, NBC transcripts that are very detailed, as well as my notes, because I write down a lot. Shout out to Dark Horse, who was able to get a hold of these NBC live updates and put them into a transcript. Okay, so this witness said that he played soccer and that he had tickets to the upcoming Japan versus Sweden game. He was clearly excited about that. He was asked who he would be rooting for, and he said Portugal, which made everybody laugh. He told the prosecution that he wasn't really friends with Austin or Hunter. He said that he runs track and was at the meet on April 2nd to run the 800 and the 1600. He said that while he was under the memorial tent at the track meet, Carmelo Anthony sat right next to him and looked at him and said, "What crazy weather." And of course, he was referring to the fact that it had been raining off and on all morning. He said he thought that was strange because he didn't understand why he was sitting there when each team had its own tent. Which, again, please make sure you understand this is what the witnesses said. This is not my opinions. This is based on what it was stated, quoted from the witnesses in their testimony. He said that he was sitting under the tent and was talking to someone when he said that a fellow student looked at Karmelo and said, "Who's this guy?" And apparently Karmelo responded and said, "I'm a nobody." And then he testified and said that another student said, "Well, if you're a nobody, you can get out from underneath this tent." To which Karmelo responded and said, "I'm not effing leaving." Except he didn't said effing. I just really hate using that word. But he said, "I'm not effing leaving." And then he said Karmelo began to get more aggressive as people told him to leave. And then an individual who, I think this witness was a minor, so I'm not going to say the name, again said, "If you're nobody, you can leave." And he said, "I'm not leaving, F y'all." He said, "F y'all, I'm not going to leave, y'all a bunch of pussies, y'all not going to do anything." He said he wasn't really worried about this because he felt like it was just tough talk. And he didn't really feel like he had reason to worry at this point. He said it was at this point that Austin said, "Bro, you can just leave. Nobody wants you here." Or excuse me, "We don't want you here." This is when Karmelo reached into his bag, put his hand in the bag, and said multiple times, "Touch me and see what happens." It was at this time that he said Austin seems pretty calm about the matter and told Karmelo that he did not want to fight. This witness described this as disrespectful. He said this was disrespectful to do under another team's tent. He said Austin said, "I'm not going to fight you at a track meet, bro." Then he said Austin pushed him, and then he said he effing stabbed me and lifted his shirt, and he said he saw a large hole with lots of blood. At this point, quite a few people were crying in the courtroom. Megan Metcalf was crying. He said that he remembered that other students said that Austin looked dead. He said Austin did not deserve what happened. Worski said it was murder, wasn't it? And he said, yes, sir. He was cross-examined by the defense, and he reiterated that Karmelo was swearing and saying "F you guys" when he was confronted. He told the jury that Austin did not step up when he pushed Karmelo, and that he just turned around in the same row. And then it was at this time that they took a brief recess. The next witness was Karmelo's friend. This was a pretty big witness. A lot of people were waiting to hear from this individual because, again, this person was identified as someone who was a friend of Karmelo's. I'm not going to say the name because I do believe he is a minor, but apparently he knew Austin and Hunter. He said that Austin was like a brother to him. He said that he knew Mello because he was friends with Mello's, and he's calling him Mello. Well, actually, let me back up for a minute. He used to call him Mello. While he was testifying yesterday, he referred to Mello as Karmelo instead. I thought that was interesting, just a little psychology there. But he referred to him as Karmelo. And he said that the reason he knew Mello because he was friends with Karmelo's ex-girlfriend. He said he took the bus that day. He said that he sat towards the back of the tent. Worski did say at one point that, you're kind of unique. You're a unique witness because you are kind of the common denominator between Karmelo and Memorial High School. And the witness, recognized that he understood this. He also said that he had not spoken to Karmelo since Austin's death. He told the jury that he didn't really notice Karmelo when he first got there, but when he did, he dapped him up. And then he said he didn't really care that he was there at that moment. And then he said that they didn't talk very much, but he started to pay attention when Austin said, "Who are you? You need to get out of the tent." Then, according to him, Karmelo replied, "You got to move me. You got to move me." And then called Austin a bitch or whatever. He said he didn't remember any other bad words that were used, but he does remember that Austin also cursed. He did say that when Karmelo said, "You got to move me, you got to move me, you're a bitch," he was getting more angry, and his tone clearly showed signs of anger. He said that Austin was always trying to lead and defend, and then he said that Austin got up, and then Karmelo's hand immediately went into the bag. He said that he felt like it was a bluff. He didn't really feel like there was anything in there. They all thought it was a bluff. And then he said, Karmelo said, "Touch me and you'll see." He said in his opinion, he invited Austin to touch him when he said, "You'll have to move me." He said that Austin then fell back after he tried to softly shove Karmelo away. He saw Austin fall. He saw Austin grab his chest, and Austin said, "Help, I've been stabbed." It was at this point that this witness in particular, who again, at one point was someone that was referred to as Karmelo's friend, he began to cry very hard on the stand. It was heartbreaking to see him crying on the stand, and there was a pause for a while. He was then asked about the interaction that involved Hunter, and Austin said that you don't have anything when he put his hand in the bag. And he said, Hunter said, "You don't have anything in there. Don't pretend you have anything." But he also said that Hunter had stayed seated. He also stated that at one point during this interaction, he pulled out his phone and acted like he was recording because he thought the situation was funny. At the time, again, they were not expecting what happened. They didn't think he actually had anything in the bag. He didn't expect a murder to take place. So kids being kids, I'm inserting my opinion here. I have teenage boys. I have a teenage boy. I know how they behave. Taking out your phone, going, "Oh, look at this." I've seen them do things like this, and that's what it sounds like he was doing. But he said he acted like he was recording because he thought it was funny. Follow me for part 3. Part 3, we're continuing to talk about the witness who was an associate, or whatever you want to call it, a friend of Carmelo's, even though he said that he really just knew Carmelo because he was friends with Carmelo's ex-girlfriend, who was his girlfriend at the time. So after he talked about how he pretended to record the incident, um, he also said, excuse me, Wursco asked him, "Were you angry with Carmelo?" And he said that he was. And he said, quote, "That was my brother. That was my brother that got stabbed." During cross-examination, something very interesting also came up, because he made it clear that during his interaction with Carmelo at the track meet, when Carmelo first sat there, he said that Carmelo said something like, "Y'all are bad, y'all are ass." And he was referring to the team. Excuse me, he was referring to Memorial's football team, because they were talking about football. They were joking around about football. And that's when Carmelo interjected himself and said, "Y'all are bad, y'all are ass." And that is definitely something that got a lot of people's attention. We then recessed for lunch, and when we came back from lunch at 12:45, that witness was still on the stand. He said that he really didn't know how bad it was until Austin pulled up his shirt. He thought it was a shove met with a shove. He didn't realize that Austin had been stabbed. He said that Hunter immediately went to go get Austin. He said he ran to Coach Lou. He said he couldn't find the coach, and then he went back. He saw the coach that had taken off his jacket. And then he jumped the fence, and he said that one coach grabbed him and said, you can't, because apparently he was trying to run after Carmelo. And apparently he was crying and saying, that was my brother that got stabbed. He said he saw several paramedics arrive. He apparently gave the officers an interview in the locker room with Hunter. Hunter could not speak at the time. He talked to a second officer at the physical therapy center, Officer Riley, who was a psychologist. He said that they did take his phone. It was verified that he did not record anything. The only thing that had happened was he had sent a message to a friend and said, Austin got stabbed. He did say that looking back, he does wish that he did not pretend to film it. He was asked, is this about race? And he said, no. He said Austin was a leader and he protected us. I'm going to go ahead and make it clear right now that a large majority of these witnesses are not white. So I'll let you come to your own conclusions about that. He was then cross-examined by Shook. It was already known that this person was close with Carmelo Anthony's girlfriend at the time. He referred to her as his cousin, and apparently their mothers are good friends. This kind of became almost aggressive, because I don't even need to really go over all of this, but Shook continuously kept bringing up pictures, I assume from social media, showing this kid and Carmelo hanging out together, either at his house or at a party or whatever. It was also something that needed to be noted, is that in the majority of the pictures was Carmelo Anthony's girlfriend as well. So it became obvious that he was hanging out with this girl that he's obviously close to, refers to her as his cousin, and Carmelo is her boyfriend. So of course he's going to be there as well. There was an incident. There was apparently an incident where they were hanging out together, roasting marshmallows. He said he doesn't remember much of it. It was, excuse me, it was already determined that they knew each other. Why this was significant, I don't understand. Worski, the prosecution, could be seen shaking his head repeatedly, like, this is so irrelevant, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that's what was going through his head. And Toby Shook seemed like he was trying to rattle this witness. He said, you knew Carmelo a lot more than you're telling this jury. And the witness explained that he and Carmelo only hung out because they were hanging around Carmelo's girlfriend's family. Toby Shook said, do you remember saying anything to your team or Carmelo? And he said, I don't remember. He said, you didn't think to step up and say, hey, I know this guy. And the witness said he did not say he knew Karmelo because he didn't feel like he needed to. He said he felt like the conversation with the other teammates regarding who Karmelo was and why he was there was a normal thing. He said Karmelo did call Austin a bitch, and he called him a bitch back. And then it was at that point that Karmelo put his hand in the bag. They then did a demonstration because he said, "Do you remember telling detectives that when Austin went to shove Karmelo, he kind of pushed you back?" And I said, "I don't remember." The witness said, "I don't remember saying that." He said, "Do you remember telling officers that when Austin pushed Karmelo, you didn't see where he grabbed him?" The witness said that was correct. And he had him demonstrate of the push again. And this has been demonstrated by other witnesses before. And he just demonstrated, and he said it wasn't that hard. It was like a small shove. And then this part. And if this doesn't make you angry, because this made me angry, I don't know what will. But it was then around this time that Toby Shook looked at this witness and said, and asked him, why were you filming or pretending to film it? Why didn't you film it? Why were you pretending? And he was trying to explain, I don't know, I was just joking around. I was trying to be funny, and the defense said, quote, "If you had been filming, we would actually be able to know what happened and what was said, wouldn't we?" This made a lot of people angry. There were a lot of people who gasped. You could hear it in the gallery. It genuinely made a lot of people angry because it sounded like he was calling him a liar. And I'm not going to hold back here. This was a shitty thing to say to a kid on a witness stand. This kid was nervous. He had already been bawling his eyes out. He's holding a ball to keep himself occupied. He's holding a ball and an anxiety ball. And to say something like this to a kid and make him feel guilty about something that he probably already felt guilty about was a shitty thing to do. Pretty sure he knew it was shitty, so he was pretty done with that witness after that. Then the state called another witness, and this was another minor, to the stand. I believe this was the 21st witness, and this was the last witness that was underneath the tent that day. He said that he was a linebacker and he did track with the Metcalf twins. His events were shot put and discus. He said that he had headphones on and was listening to music, and then he heard everyone telling Karmelo to leave. He said he heard Karmelo say, "Touch me and see what happens," and he put his hand in the backpack. He thought he was bluffing. He said that Karmelo challenged Austin to a fist fight, and that Austin said, quote, "I won't fight you at a track meet, bro." This was the third or fourth time that this has been confirmed that Austin said this. He then did not take this seriously. He didn't think anything bad would happen. He said he turned back around and put his headphones back into his ears. And then all of a sudden he heard screams, and he heard Austin say, "He stabbed me, he stabbed me, he stabbed me." And then he could see the coach holding Hunter back. Austin went down to the ground and had stood back up, put his back to a fence. He said that Hunter wanted to confront Karmelo. He then said Austin fell. Austin's face turned purple. And then he said that he himself had to be pulled from Austin because he was trying to grab Austin as well to help him. But he had to be pulled from Austin when they were trying to work on him. And then he said he went to the bus. It was, I believe, after this. Yes, I believe it was after this witness, according to my notes, that the judge had them, the state and the defense, come up to him, and they discussed things privately. And then they went back, and we could hear them discussing something like a lot of witnesses. This is taking a long time. This is being prolonged. And understandably, because most of the witnesses had pretty much said the same thing. They then went back to, where they stand, and the judge told the jury, you don't see it yet, you don't know this yet, but things are going to start moving along a little bit faster. And then it was at this point that they called in the medical examiner and advised the family to leave. The next video. Part 4, the medical examiner. The family was advised to leave at this point. The medical examiner, her name was Dr. Elizabeth Ventura. She is the chief medical examiner for Collin County, and it was her job to determine the cause and the manner of death. She stated that Austin was 73 inches tall and weighed in at 213 pounds. For the external exam, she stated that when Austin arrived, he was in a hospital gown and that his hands and his feet were bagged, and that she located a stab wound to the chest. The stab wound was on the left side of the chest. She said that the knife had penetrated the cartilage of the sternum, had penetrated the heart wall, and had penetrated the right ventricle of the heart. She said that the depth of the wound was approximately 2.5 inches front to back, meaning that it was not at in a downward angle or an upward angle, that it was a straight stab front to back wound. She described it as a gaping 2-inch wound, not a slit. It was a gaping oval shape. If you can see there, this is how my drawing is terrible, but this is what the wound looked like, left side of the chest. Okay. She said that the wound perforated both the chest bone and the sac that surrounds the heart and penetrated the right ventricle of the heart. Just comparing my notes here with Dark Horse NBC live updates. She said that because the knife wound was through the heart, Ventura said that she removed the heart and studied it. She noted that the wound was oval shaped and 2 inches in length, describing it as gaping, like I just said in my notes here. So this aligns pretty well. There were multiple autopsy photos. State exhibits 80 through 83 and they were admitted into evidence. The defense actually objected to several of the photos of the autopsy. The autopsy photos, but the judge overruled the objection. Exhibit 80 showed the stab wound to Austin's chest. The jurors definitely reacted emotionally. They've done a very good job so far not reacting emotionally, but this was very hard. The prosecution asked the medical examiner, "Is this wound survivable?" She said no. She also said that there were signs of internal bleeding. She was asked by Werski, "Is a knife like this considered a deadly weapon in the state of Texas?" She said yes. She said that according to her office, they had ruled this death as a homicide, which in their office is defined as intentional death of another individual. She was asked if there were defensive wounds. She said no. She was asked, could it be that he did not see this coming? And she said yes. During cross-examination, this might have been some of the craziest cross-examination I've ever heard of. But she had explained that the penetration depth of the knife was about 2.5 inches, and the total length of the knife was about 3.5 inches. And then the defense briefly questioned and asked her multiple times, actually, about whether it was possible for Austin to have impaled himself on Karmelo's knife when he pushed Karmelo. She explained that this impaling scenario that he was trying to imply was 1 in 1,000, and that because of the depth of the wound is shorter than its length, that it is unlikely. It was at this point, shocking to all, the prosecution rested. We literally did not see this coming, but they said they were done. They rested. The defense then moved for a direct verdict because they tried to make the argument that that the state failed to present sufficient evidence and did not prove Karmelo's intent. But Werski said the state had provided every element, and Judge Roach denied the motion. The court took a brief recess. Excuse me. And then the defense decided that they were going to call their first witness, which was a Centennial High track coach. I'm not going to identify who this is, but I have someone that I have been speaking with who goes to Centennial High, and she had told me that this coach was a very laid back coach, not someone who was the same as some of the coaches that are at Memorial. Very, very laid back, just kind of a very chill coach. So to give you an idea of what this person is like. His name was Adam Linwood. He is the football and track coach at Centennial High. He has been there since about 2018 because he said he'd been there for 8 years, so I just estimated 2018. He was asked by the defense, Mike Howard, to describe track culture. He said it was a player-led sport, and he kind of described it as organized chaos. He was asked if he was aware of that time of any players not being allowed to or expected not to go under the team tent, and he said that he was not. He said that he had seen students go into other teams' tents before, just being social, their friends making friends. He said students would mingle in the downtime between events. He said that going into another team's tent is not something that students would be kicked out for, and that he was not aware that other schools had a policy about going into other teams' tents. He did, however, state that since the incident, he said that Centennial's policy has changed since the stabbing, and students must now stay with their teams. A picture was shown in court showing Karmelo Anthony as co-captain of the football team in 2024. Linwood explained that that was when apparently he didn't finish the year, and that was when Karmelo suffered a shoulder injury during the season and had his arm in a sling, but he was still showing up for practices and for games. He was asked if Centennial had a tent that day. He said that they did not take very many kids to the meet, so they didn't have the manpower to put up both of their tents. He stated that Karmelo's events were early enough in the morning that it made sense for him to be at the meet. He was asked why he didn't have a tent. He said they did, but it had been put on the bus behind them, and he said the bus did not get there on time to put up the tent yet. He did clarify and acknowledge that he knew that there was a no weapons policy at track meets, and he agreed that there was a zero tolerance policy regarding weapons. Worski, during cross-examination, said, "I assume it was shocking to know that one of your athletes stabbed someone in the chest." Worski also made it clear during cross-examination that all coaches have different policies for their teams. He asked the coach, "Wasn't Karmelo supposed to be warming up?" He said, "Yes." "Was he?" He said, "No." "Why did he leave?" "I have no idea." Then he asked him, "What is a cleat sharpener?" And he explained what a cleat sharpener was. And then he showed the knife, and he said, "Is this a cleat sharpener?" And he said, "No." And he said, "Is it normal to ask certain students to be a leader?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "For them to act as a coach?" He said, "Yes." That coach then agreed. By the way, still, this is the defense's witness. That coach then agreed that if someone was placed in charge and instructed to make other members of teams leave their tent, that they should comply. He also made it clear that there was no weather delay. The next witness was, his name was Jeremiah. He was a student at Centennial. He was 18. So he's not a minor, so I went ahead and said his first name. I think it was Jeremiah Smith. He was also asked about tent policy and track culture, and so on. Worski, upon cross-examination, asked Jeremiah, "If you were asked to leave a tent, would you?" He said, "Yes." "Would you ever bring a knife to a track meet?" "No." The next witness that the defense called was a Memorial student, and I'm not going to share his name because he's a minor, and the next video will probably be my last video update for Saturday. Go ahead and that video will be released in about 30 minutes. Part 5 in the last video of Saturday's events. Let's see. This was a minor. This is the last witness of the day. Is a minor, but is a Memorial High School student. He had taken the SATs that morning. I cannot imagine taking the SATs and then attending a trial in the afternoon, but that's crazy. This witness said that he remembers sitting below the friend of Karmelo's. And then he said that he remembers Hunter saying, "Who are you?" He also made it clear that Austin was much bigger than Hunter. He apparently, according to the defense, said to the detective that Hunter did not tolerate being disrespected. He said that everything that happened with a moderate tone. He said that Karmelo was told to leave, and that Karmelo responded with, "No one has a problem with me being here except you," end quote. This witness was asked by Howard if he remembered telling detectives that Austin said, "You need to move before I beat your ass." This witness said, "No, I don't remember saying that." And this was crazy. So the defense quoted this witness for saying, Austin said, "No one has a problem with, you need to move before I beat your ass." And then again, the witness said, "I don't remember saying that." So the defense, Mike Howard, then turned around and found a transcript, brought the transcript to the witness and said, "Here it is right here. Do you want to take a look at it?" He looked at it for a while. And then he said, "Do you remember saying that?" He said, "Yes, but," he said, "but you didn't finish everything that I said. I said he said something like that. I didn't say he said that verbatim." Um, and I don't think I don't think Mike Howard expected him to respond that way, but he said, "No, I said something like, you need to move before I beat your ass. I didn't say that it was that verbatim." It was actually verified in the interview transcript that Mike Howard himself showed this witness. It was also something I noted during this interaction between Mike Howard and this witness. This witness himself never really told the story. He didn't give his series of events. It was more like Mike Howard was saying, "You did this then you did this, then you did this, correct? Then you did this." So in my mind, I'm like, who's telling the story here? Who's testifying? Is it the defense or is it the witness? And then Howard said, "And Mello said, as long as you don't touch me, we're cool, right?" And I thought this was interesting because, again, inserting my opinion here, I thought this was a weird thing for him to say, "As long as you don't touch me, we're cool." That statement has never been brought up by any other witness at all. Not even anything that sounded like it. "As long as you don't touch me, we're cool." I thought it was very odd for him to say because the day before, which would have been Friday, I saw a propaganda article pop up on X that said that Carmelo had said, "As long as you don't touch me, we're cool." And I was like, did he just quote an article from yesterday that I saw? That's kind of weird. I don't know. I just thought the whole thing was very strange. I actually commented on it the day before and said, "No witness has ever said this. Like, what are you talking about?" So I just found that to be very interesting. And I just kind of wanted to input that because it threw me off big time. It was odd. Then Worski cross-examined. Worski said that he talked to this individual's dad on break, asked him if he was nervous. He definitely said he was nervous. This witness said that Austin apparently said, "You've got nothing in there," and he's referring to when he put his hand in the bag. And then he said, "Well, I'm not from Frisco." This is in reference to the fact that some of the witnesses have said that they didn't expect anything to happen because he's from Frisco, because they're from Frisco. And apparently, according to this witness said that Carmelo responded and said, "Well, I'm not from Frisco." He then said that Austin tried to move Carmelo and that it was not scary. He then demonstrated the stab, like many other witnesses had done. He was asked by Worski, was Carmelo in the wrong? And he said yes. The day ended after that. It's going to pick back up again on Monday morning. Hopefully I'll get in. It's a toss-up every time, but we're going to find out. So I will let everybody know Monday morning. Thank you.
a girl from the south side. Got brave.
Whoa, we need a big tall tree and a short piece of rope. Hang 'em up high at sundown. Leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. A big tall tree and a short piece of rope. Hang 'em up high at sundown. Leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town.
Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. But if you do, bitch, we'll hang you in a fucking field. We don't judge by skin, we judge by soul. So God can judge your sin, but bitch, you gotta go. Austin Metcalf lost his life at a track meet. The news won't say it, so I say it on a trap beat. And while they running from accountability, Lake and Riley was murdered while she was running in the streets. Who would've thought the girl who left the danger in Ukraine would get her life taken riding on a train by a nigga when she's repping Black Lives Matter? But you triggered by this song, tell me which is sadder.
We need a big tall tree and a short piece of rope. Hang 'em up high at sundown. Leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. A big tall tree and a short piece of rope. Hang 'em up high at sundown. Leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. Oh, there's too much crime in the streets these days. Too much evil going down. If they get 'em up out of the bricks for a while, the judge turns them loose on the town. How many mothers gotta cry? How many children gotta die before we put an end to all this mess? We ought to do it like they did it way back in the day, 'cause granddaddy's way it works best. Who's gonna right them wrongs, my friend? Vengeance is the Lord's, but brother, justice ain't a sin. We need a big tall tree and a short piece of rope. Hang 'em up high at sundown. Leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town. A big tall tree and a short piece of rope. Hang 'em up high at sundown. Leave 'em swinging so the folks all know you don't mess around in our town.
Yeah. Dust on my boots, blood in my pride. You ever get pushed so far you stop caring? This one's for the snakes, the liars, the ones who smile and stare. Go fuck yourself, I ain't bowing down. Try to break me, but I stand my ground. You took your shot, now take your loss. I pay my dues, I count my costs. Go fuck yourself, I'm done being played. I built my fire from the hill you made. No more chains, no more stealth. If you cross that line, go fuck yourself. I came from a road where the gravel cuts deep, where promises break and the wolves don't sleep. Had $1 in a dream and the chip on my chest. They said I'd never make it, yeah, I took that bet. Backstab, handshake, fake love grin. Seen too many devils dressed up as friends. Talk real loud, but they hollow inside. I read that script, yeah, I know that vibe. Mama said, boy, keep your head up high, even when the truth feels like a lie. So I kept on walking, boots worn thin, through the smoke, through the dirt, through the sand. You tried to bury me, I grew instead. Every no you gave put steel in my head. Now I'm standing tall, where you hoped I'd fall. Middle finger up, yeah, that says it all. Fuck yourself, I ain't bowing down. Tried to break me, but I stand my ground. You took your shot, now take your loss. I pay my dues, I count my costs. Go fuck yourself, I'm done being played. I built my fire from the hill you made. No more chains, no more stealth. If you cross that line, go fuck yourself. They love you when you're down, keep you in the cage, but hate when you rise and step on stage. Suddenly they know you act like king, but I remember where you never been. You weren't there in the cold midnight when I lost my way, had to learn to fight. You weren't there when the world went dark, when I lit my soul with a single spark. I don't need your praise, don't need your lies. Seen too much truth in your disguise. closed, your page is gone. I gave too much to people who take it all. Watch loyalty fade like a late night call. Now I walk alone, but I walk with pride. No more fake love standing by my side. Yeah, it hurts, but it made me strong. Turn my pain into this outlaw song. Go fuck yourself, I ain't bowing down. Tried to break me, but I stand my ground. You took your shot, now take your loss. I pay my dues, I count my costs. Go fuck yourself, I'm done being played. I built my fire from the hell you made. No more chains, no more stealth. If you cross that line, go fuck yourself. I don't hold grudges, I just hold truth. You showed your colors, I show my proof. Every word you said, you fueled my grind. Now I'm 10 steps ahead, you still behind. I ain't bitter, just wide awake. Learn real fast, who's real or fake. Trust ain't cheap, it's earned in blood, not in shallow talk. A crocodile love, you built your world on a house of lies. Now it's falling down, no surprise. While I built mine from broken stone, now I sit king on the throne I own. This ain't hate, it's self-respect. Cutting ties, I won't regret. If you don't like me, that's just fine. I don't need you in my life. Some bridges, you don't burn them, you just stop crossing. Go fuck yourself! I found my way, oh, every night, through every day. You tried to chain me, hold me down. Now I wear freedom like a crown. Go fuck yourself! I'm done being small, I stood back up every time I'd fall. This is my life, my truth, my wealth. If you doubt that, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Ride your road, I'll ride mine. No hard feelings, just hard lines. Outlaw heart, free as hell. And if you can't respect it, you already know. Go fuck yourself.